So y'all have to understand that I'm a Jurassic Park baby through and through. Like, I grew up on Jurassic Park, everything. So any opportunity I get to learn or find some more information about dinosaurs, I'm gonna do that. All right. So this happened 10 minutes after the extinction of the dinosaurs. Let's check it out.
Sometimes it's crazy to think about just how old our planet is and about how many strange creatures used to live here. Just 65 million years ago? Well, I say just, that's a pretty long time. But 65 million years ago, we had dinosaurs roaming around everywhere. And we've learned some pretty incredible things about these ancient beasts. From the moments after extinction to the tail that was faster than the speed of sound. Here's 20 terrifying facts about dinosaurs. Number 20. The first minutes the dinosaurs went extinct. Nobody could have predicted the disaster. As they'd been doing for more than 170 million years, dinosaurs followed one another around and ate luscious greens and sometimes each other. On a typical late Cretaceous day, petrosaurs soared over the skies, mosasaurs splashed in the water, and small animals scampered through the forest. Then everything abruptly changed. A 6-mile wide piece of extraterrestrial rock smashed into what would later be called Mexico's Yucatan Peninsula. The jolt resembled a gunshot to our planet. The planet would never be the same, so now we can say this happened 10 minutes after the extinction of dinosaurs. But what exactly transpired on the asteroid strike day? Experts are piecing together a terrifying picture of one of the deadliest days in history by pouring back into the rock record. A portion of the harm is simple to evaluate. Over 110 miles in diameter, the impact crater is a gigantic scar that's partially
110 miles.
Over 110 miles in diameter, the impact crater is a gigantic scar that's partially buried under the Gulf of Mexico. Within 10 hours, a huge wave tore its way to the coast due to the impact's tremendous energy and water displacement. The heat was more harmful to life in the Western Hemisphere than the waves were. The Earth caught fire. Much of the Cretaceous life may have vanished in a couple of hours, at least.
And I'm in a catch-22. Seeing that tidal wave like that makes me want to move away from the coast, but then I don't want to be close to Yellowstone. So it's like, what do you do at this point? You know what I'm saying? What do you do?
The Earth caught fire. Much of the Cretaceous life may have vanished in a couple of hours, at least on land. Things would never be the same again. Before we go on, like this video, smash that subscribe button, and click the notification bell right now, or this centipede will crawl on your face when you're sleeping. Number 19. Apatosaurus's tail could break the sound barrier. Other animals probably paid attention as an Apatosaurus dinosaur slammed its incredibly long tail into the ground. It seems that the long-necked dinosaur may have breached the sound barrier more than 150 million years ago with its tail whips. A replica tail constructed of aluminum, stainless steel, neoprene, and Teflon was built and tested by paleontologists to demonstrate the sonic booms. The replica, which is about 3.6 meters in length and is about a fourth of the size of a sauropod tail, can nonetheless break the sound barrier when whirled around, according to Nathan Meyerfold, founder and CEO of Intellectual Ventures, a business that invests in technological patents and research. For almost 20 years, Meyervold has played around with the tail. When he served as Microsoft's senior strategist and chief technology officer in the 1990s, he came across a book written by famous naturalist Robert McNeill Alexander, who's best recognized for his research on dinosaur movement. The enormous herbivorous sauropod dinosaur are distinguished by their long necks and lengthy tails. The Apatosaurus genus, a collection of huge dinosaurs that lived between 155.7 million and 150.8 million years ago during the late Jurassic, was the focus of Meyerhold's research. He and Canadian paleontologist Philip Curie published a research in the journal Paleobiology in 1997 in which they hypothesized that according to a computer simulation, the tail of Apatosaurus may have reached supersonic speeds, producing a noise analogous to the crack of a bullwhip. Number 18. Ankylosaurus clubtail could break a T-Rex's ankles. With the club on the end of its tail, an Ankylosaurus probably couldn't kill a T-Rex, but new evidence indicates that the bony club could surely break.
I bet y'all, I'm a big kid when it comes to this, bro. It can break his ankle.
its ankles. Canadian researchers looked at CT scans of a number of ancient tails from dinosaurs of various sizes to determine how powerfully Ankylosaurus could strike with its tail.
I wouldn't even, if I was him, I wouldn't even walk forward. I just walk backwards with my tail just swinging, like daring you to try me. Like, come on, try it.
They discovered that Ankylosaurus could swing its tail in a 100-degree lateral arc, and larger clubs could produce forces powerful enough to break bone by combining the image data with measurements of the dinosaur's backbone. It appears strange that only adults would have tail clubs that functioned as efficient weapons when young dinosaurs were the most vulnerable to predator assaults. The bony ball at the end of the dinosaur's tail may have another purpose, according to Arbor. Arbor plans to carry out further research to look for rib fractures in mature Ankylosaurs to find out. They may have been bludgeoning one another to compete for mates if they had more fractured ribs than a normal dinosaur. Sadly, we might never be able to determine how exactly the dinosaurs used their tail clubs or just how ferociously they could swing it. Number 17. The T-Rex of the South was a cannibal. New evidence suggests that the 35-foot-long carnivorous dinosaur from the Cretaceous period, Tyrannosaurus rex, was a cannibal who loved meat so much he'd consume it from members of his own species. Magungotholus is the only other known dinosaur to have shown this behavior, although paleontologists now think Gorgosaurus, another enormous meat-eater, may have also been carnivorous and cannibals. Nicholas Longrich, a paleontologist at Yale University, said, "Of course, small, cute, furry little animals like ground squirrels are also highly cannibalistic, so that's T-Rex and the squirrels that we need to be weirded out by so far."
In school, man, T-Rex was my favorite. Still is one of my favorites. It wasn't until I grew up that the Raptor became, once you understood how it moved, how it hunted, like the Raptor quickly rose to like my favorite because of the way they hunt in packs, and you looking at one but you don't see the other two come. Oh man.
While looking through dinosaur fossil collections in the western North America, he and his colleagues uncovered the finding. Longrich found a T-Rex fossil with significant teeth gouges. The fact that T-Rex is known to have been the sole large carnivore in western North America 65 million years ago adds credence to the attribution. Longrich discovered more proof that the T-Rex was a cannibal when he looked through other fossil collections from several institutions. One arm fossil, 3 foot bones, including 2 toes, and 3 foot bones that had large teeth marks from eating. Longrich and his colleagues believe that it's plausible that the dino-on-dino feasting took place after bouts, a meal that would benefit the cannibal victor. It's possible that all or some of the gouges were caused by scavenging. Number 16. The Triceratops was an herbivore you didn't want to mess with. Triceratops horridus, which stomped through western North America 69 million years ago, must have been a pretty terrifying presence with its 3 pointed horns and spiky skull plate. This well-known ceratopsian, or horned dinosaur, was an herbivore despite having a really fearsome look. Although there's no proof that Triceratops engaged in titanic conflicts with Tyrannosaurus rex, it's somewhat logical that this would be how they were portrayed in popular culture. With a length of up to 30 feet and a weight of 6 to 8 tons, the enormous Triceratops made a commanding presence in the prehistoric world. Its heavy body was supported by strong legs as it moved through North American undergrowth. Other dinosaurs may have fled from Triceratops because of its massive head. Some found skulls are up to 10 feet long. 3 horns, one small over the mouth and 2 long ones above each eye, adorned its head. Behind these horns was a bone skull frill that was adorned with epiccipitals, tiny spikes. The beak-like lips and strong jaws of these herbivores were designed to tear and grind low-lying plants. According to evidence, Triceratops had extremely sophisticated teeth that allowed them to slash through thick plants that would have been challenging for other herbivores to ingest. Number 15. Titanosaurus. The blue whale is the biggest animal on Earth in terms of mass. It's also the biggest animal to have ever lived, weighing over 136 metric tons and reaching lengths of over 30 meters. However, the ocean has distinct growth circumstances. The biggest land animal, though, what about that? Although the elephant now holds the record, considerably bigger animals have existed in the past. Much bigger and longer than contemporary elephants, hippopotamus, and rhinoceroses, many giant dinosaurs lived during the Mesozoic era, about 252 million to 66 million years ago. Sauropods, a group of four-legged herbivorous animals with long necks and tails, were the biggest dinosaurs of the time. The biggest sauropods belonged to a clade called the Titanosaur. Titanosaur remains have been discovered on every continent, and they lived between 145 million and 66 million years ago, near the conclusion of the Cretaceous period. Sadly, the Cretaceous period saw the extinction of these hulking leviathans. Dreadnoughtus was a titanosaur that was among the biggest, if not the biggest, according to certain accounts. It was around 26 meters long overall and weighed 59 metric tons, according to estimates. Rock deposits in southern Patagonia, Argentina, dating back to 77 million years, are where dreadnoughts were first discovered. Number 14. The fastest dinosaur that ever existed. Have you ever considered the possibility that a dinosaur, despite its enormous size, might be able to move really quickly? Dinosaurs often had greater agility and speed than one might expect given their massive size. We'll go over a few of those right.
So there goes the whole thought of, man, maybe I can outrun them. Nope, you're not.
Now, with a top speed of 60 miles per hour, Strumothymius could be the fastest dinosaur. The Megalosaurus moved around 30 miles per hour, whereas the Compsognathus moved at about 40 miles per hour. Dilophosaurus had a top speed of roughly 20 miles per hour. Additionally, tracks in the mud suggest that ornithomimids, which had long limbs like ostriches, could run up to 25 miles per hour. These creatures maintained good running and sprinting despite their large size. They shared the same short, thin heads and long necks as other ornithomimids. Also, their jaws lacked teeth and their eyes were huge. 10 neck vertebrae, 13 back vertebrae, 6 hip vertebrae, and perhaps 35 tail vertebrae made up the vertebral columns. They presumably used their somewhat strong tails for balance. In contrast to Ornithomimus, which had straight beak edges, Struthiomimus featured a concave top beak edge. Number 13. Mapasauruses, the largest carnivores that hunted in packs. Scientists have discovered the remains of a huge type of carnivorous dinosaur in Argentina that was longer than any other previously known meat-eating dinosaur. The recently found carnivorous dinosaur, Mapasaurus rosae, is a member of the enormous Charchaeodontosid family, according to researchers. Gigantosaurus, the biggest meat-eating dinosaur to ever roam the Earth, is a member of this group. The most recent edition of the journal Geodiversitas detailed the finding of a new dinosaur in western Patagonia. According to paleontologists, Mapasaurus was longer than 12 meters and had a longer shin bone than Gigantosaurus. Gigantosaurus would have been bigger and heavier than Mapasaurus, therefore it still has the title of largest. However, the new dinosaur would have been a frightening animal, especially if it had been in a pack. Researchers discovered hundreds of Mapasaurus bones going back 100 million years in a group that would have had juveniles that were 5 meters long and adults that were over 12 meters long. Its teeth were blade-like and short. The long skull and fangs were better suited to tearing large pieces of flesh off sauropod dinosaurs. The larger, thicker teeth of the T-Rex, on the other hand, were used to bite through the bones of its prey. Number 12. The Utahraptor was bigger and scarier than the Velociraptor.
Utahraptor.
A dinosaur that's nearly 20 feet long and stands 6 feet tall emerges from the undergrowth. Its victims can't help but keep their attention on the enormous reptile's long claws. Another one rushes from behind before it has time to plan an escape. If you were to trust contemporary movies, this would appear to be just another straightforward Velociraptor assault. But that wasn't a Velociraptor, but rather an Utahraptor. Today we'll contrast an Utahraptor with a Velociraptor to see which one would prevail in a duel to the death. The size of an Utahraptor and a Velociraptor is the main distinction between them. Utahraptor and Velociraptor shared several physiological traits, being both dromaeosaurids. Velociraptors can weigh up to 50 pounds, stand 2.5 feet tall, and have a length of around 6.5 feet. But
I'm taking the Velociraptor. The intelligence. Come on, the intelligence gotta help them win out.
Utahraptors may weigh up to 1,100 pounds, stand up to 6 feet tall, and have a length of up to 23 feet. Velociraptors were substantially smaller compared to Utahraptor. In a combat, Utahraptor would prevail over a Velociraptor.
What?
The Utahraptor is in a far superior position because of its size, strength, and attacking capabilities. We have to declare the Utahraptor the winner. Number 11.
I need a second and third opinion on that. I just can't. You know what I mean? But if it's true, I'm going to switch raptors that I like, all right? Utahraptor it'll be.
Spinosaurus, the biggest carnivorous dinosaur that ever existed. Greater than Tyrannosaurus and Gigantosaurus in size, Spinosaurus was the largest of all carnivorous dinosaurs. It roamed the North African wetlands during the Cretaceous period, from 112 million to 97 million years ago. The name Spinosaurus, which translates to spine lizard, is apt given that the dinosaur had extremely long spines sprouting on its back to create what's known as a sail. Up to 2.1 meters long, the unique spines protruded from the animal's back vertebrae and were presumably attached to one another via skin. According to research published in September 2014 in the Journal of Science, recent fossil evidence indicates that Spinosaurus was the first dinosaur to be able to swim, and it's most likely that it spent most of its life in the water. Nizar Ibrahim, a University of Chicago vertebrate paleontologist and the study's lead author, said that Spinosaurus had short hind limbs, just like early whales and other animals that spent more and more time in the water. Dense and compact bones, wide and flat claws, and feet, presumably used in paddling, with a long and slender snout with canonical teeth, perfect for catching fish. Number 10. Why the T-Rex is king of the dinosaurs. All tyrannosaurs, including T-Rex, are members of Theropods, a group of two-legged meat-eating dinosaurs. We've learned a lot more about theropods thanks to some extraordinary fossils discovered in China during the past 3 decades. These beautiful fossils, which contain soft tissue characteristics, offer a singular window into the existence and evolution of dinosaurs. Surprisingly, there's enough proof that theropods possessed feathers. The Cretaceous period came to an end when T-Rex went extinct. However, it's incorrect to claim that all the dinosaurs have vanished. You see, not every dinosaur is extinct. Yes, theropods are the ancestors of contemporary birds. Not only that, but they're theropods in their own right, much like we're apes. Please keep in mind that the formidable T-Rex is an uncle of the regular feathery chicken you see everywhere. Theropods that are extinct, like tyrannosaurs, did not, however, use their feathers for flight. They probably used their dowy feathers for decoration or insulation. Theropods' primitive feathers did, however, give way to the modern bird's more intricate feathers. Since then, scientists have found discoveries that suggest a single ancestral reptile that lived around 300 million years ago is where feathers, hair, and scales all first appeared. Number 9. Most dinosaurs had very small brains. Even the most evolved dinosaurs, which comprise the biggest group of animals to ever roam the earth, had really small brains, measuring no more.
But most of us don't use all of our brain anyway, so what does that even matter?
More than 3 inches. Researchers examined the fossilized head of the enormous dinosaur Ampliosaurus, which was found near Cuenca, Spain in 2007. It dates back 70 million years. The reptile known as a sauropod was the biggest creature to have ever existed. It has a long tail and neck. The scientists created a 3D recreation of Ampliosaurus's brain, which was no larger than a tennis ball, using CT images of the inside of its skull. It's true that on average, dinosaur brains were considerably smaller than those of mammals with skulls of a similar size. The main feature of a dinosaur skull is its jaw structure. Much of the available space was occupied by strong biting muscles, with the brain being buried under a thick casing to keep it well protected. In contrast to a human skull, where the majority of what's beneath the immediate bone surface is brain matter. Number 8. Many dinosaurs were actually smaller than a turkey. The majority of us have an image of dinosaurs as enormous, towering, ancient creatures that once roamed the planet. However, it turns out that most dinosaurs came in a variety of sizes, some of which were hardly as big as a turkey. The dromaeosaurid dinosaurs, or raptors, were mostly smaller than humans, with the species that weighed more than 100 kilograms being exceptions. Megafauna are typically outnumbered by lesser creatures in an environment. This is caused by a number of variables, including the fact that smaller creatures not only reproduce more quickly, but are also able to more quickly rediversify. A little dinosaur with long legs and wings was called Anchiornis huxleyi. Many believe that this feathered creature represents a transitional stage between dinosaurs and birds. It existed in the late Jurassic era of what's now China. If Anchiornis huxleyi ever left the ground, it may have been a better glider than a flyer because of the long feathers on both the fore and hind limbs. Anchiornis huxleyi was one of the tiniest dinosaurs ever found, measuring between 34 and 40 centimeters in length, and weighing between 110 and 700 grams. Amazingly, pigment cells that are still present in petrified specimens may even tell researchers what color Anchiornis huxleyi was. They discovered it to be primarily dark gray and black, with a red cap and white wing stripes. Number 7. Some dinosaurs even had feathers. As we said, it might be difficult initially to understand how the ducks you feed, the pigeons you avoid, or the peacocks you admire have anything in common with the terrible lizards from Jurassic Park. However, a lot of experts now concur that contemporary birds are still living dinosaurs. In particular, theropods, a group of two-legged predatory dinosaurs, appear to have escaped the great dinosaur extinction catastrophe 65 million years ago by evolving feathers, larger and more adaptive brains, and smaller, more flying forms. The notion that birds are still alive dinosaurs is not new in scientific circles. Both Thomas Huxley, an English biologist, and Reverend Edward Hitchcock, the state geologist of Massachusetts, separately observed that dinosaur tracks and bones resemble birds in the 1800s. But until John Ostrom of Yale University revived the parallels between birds and theropod dinosaurs over a century later, their observations were widely disregarded. Since then, tens of thousands of dinosaurs with feathers have been found, many of which resembled branches of the bird genus. Sinosauropetrix, the first feathered theropod that isn't a close relation to birds, was discovered in 1996 by Chinese scientists. These discoveries are rewriting long-held beliefs about how many dinosaurs appeared and acted, in addition to helping scientists understand the genus of contemporary avians. Number 6. The first dinosaur to be named was the Megalosaurus in 1824 by Reverend William Buckland. Huge bones had been dug out of the earth for ages, and their origins had baffled everyone. The first legitimately named genus of a non-avian dinosaur was Megalosaurus, which was recognized in 1824. One of the 3 taxa on which Richard Owen based his Dinosauria in 1842 was Megalosaurus. Owen's instructions led to the creation of a replica of one of the Crystal Palace dinosaurs, which significantly raised public awareness of these extinct creatures. Initially, this was because there were so few types of dinosaurs known, but the practice persisted well into the 20th century while many other dinosaurs had been discovered, resulting in the classification of nearly 50 additional species under the genus. It's now known that none of these other species, including the sole remaining Megalosaurus species, M. bucklandi, were linked to it directly. There are still many questions concerning its structure, because a full skeleton's never been discovered. When it was initially discovered, Megalosaurus was mistaken for a 20-meter-long lizard by early naturalists. When standing on straight legs, Owen calculated its length to be no more than 9 meters in 1842. But he also thought it was a quadruped. Modern scientists were able to get a more precise image of Megalosaurus by contrasting it with its close cousin, the Megalosaurid. The Megalosaurus measured around 6 meters and weighed 700 kilos. It had a horizontal tail to balance its horizontal body and was bipedal, moving on strong hind limbs. It had short but very strong forelimbs. The skull of the Megalosaurus was quite massive and featured long, curved teeth. In general, it was a strong, powerfully muscled animal. Number 5. New Hellboy horned dinosaur. The new species of horned dinosaur discovered by scientists is known as Hellboy. Its formal name, Triceratops perewiski, alludes to both its frill that resembles a crown and the discoverer of its bones 10 years ago. In Alberta, Canada, Peter Hughes came across the Hellboy's almost entirely intact skull protruding from a cliff by the Oldman River. However, it wasn't until
all the names just sound like just dangerous. Like all the names strike fear, don't they? Or is it just me?
the lab where the bones were being removed from the rock that scientists determined it was an entirely new species. Because it was challenging to separate the bones from the hard rock, researchers gave the species the moniker Hellboy, after the fictitious comic book character. A reconstruction of Hellboy's bones revealed that while it resembled a Triceratops, it differed from it in that it had a characteristic neck frill, a higher nose horn, and very tiny horns above its eyes. Prior to the Chasmosaurans, which became extinct along with all other dinosaurs at the end of the Cretaceous epoch, around 65 million years ago, Centasaurians were extinct by a number of millions of years. The discovery is noteworthy according to researchers, since it's the first instance of evolutionary convergence in horned dinosaurs. Number 4. Dinosaurs lived on all the continents, including Antarctica. Although you might think of Antarctica as being frigid, snowy, deserted, and dismal, that wasn't always the case. Right. The enormous southern continent was previously...
That's what I was just saying to myself. I was like, well, it probably, you know what I'm saying? We've heard that it wasn't always full of ice and you know what I mean? Stuff like, and it wasn't always like that cold and everything.
covered in woods, and dinosaurs used to wander freely there. How was it possible for such a cold wasteland to previously have been warm enough to host the largest beasts on Earth? We must travel back in geological time to comprehend this. During the Cretaceous period, which lasted from 145 to 66 million years ago, Antarctica was devoid of ice. Even though it may seem far away, we're aware of it since it was the final period of the dinosaurs, before an asteroid hit the Earth and put an end to their existence. At this time, both polar ice caps were covered with trees. Scientists have been able to create a picture of the past climate thanks to fossilized remains of trees and cold-blooded creatures. Today, we observe them soaking up the sun to warm up during the day. Cold-blooded reptiles require the warmth of the sun to survive. It therefore must have been warm enough for them to survive throughout the night in the poles, where the sun sets during the winter. We all know the climate changes, and it has done so in the past. It's doing so now, and it'll continue to do so in the future. However, what makes what we're doing today different from what occurred during the Cretaceous period? Could there soon be no ice in Antarctica?
Could be.
Number 3. Dinosaur eggs as large as basketballs. Researchers claim that hundreds of dinosaur eggs have been found in Spain. Scientists are interested in the eggs' closeness to one another after they were found at the Col de Nargo site in the Spanish province of Lleida. It was previously believed that just one type of dinosaur had inhabited that region. However, the eggs appear to be from a variety of dinosaur species. The location of eggs from several dinosaur species has led scientists to propose a novel explanation. Researchers have been able to estimate the age of the site because of the finding of several different types of eggs scattered throughout different time periods. The Meganulithus dinosaurs are among the supposedly biggest creatures that have ever walked the Earth. Some of the largest eggs may be around the size of a basketball. Number 2. Most dinosaurs were vegetarians. You know those dreadful dinosaurs from movies that hunt and devour people? Scientists have discovered that the majority of dinosaurs were in fact vegetarians. The ancient plant-eating dinosaurs known as herbivores set several records. They were the enormous sauropods, the armed dinosaurs, and some of them were omnivorous, meaning they ate both meat and plants. The discovery of these herbivorous dinosaurs remains on every continent, including Antarctica, is fascinating. The attention is usually focused on the meat-eating predators since they possessed fighting and stunning traits. But herbivore dinosaurs were more prevalent than meat-eating dinosaurs throughout the Mesozoic era. All continents include fossilized plant-eating dinosaurs, which is fascinating since some of these dinosaurs possess traits that are still present today, like armor-mounted weaponry such as horns. Number 1. Dinosaurs had bones filled with air. It's known that several archosaur species and bird species have postcranial bones with numerous air sacs in them. For example, Theropoda, a kind of non-avian dinosaur, has these. When seeing a variety of bird displays at the Grand Museum of Zoology and Contemporary Anatomy in London, this shared physical characteristic is illustrated. It's possible to understand how birds evolved light, powerful, air-filled bones, since they'd aid in weight reduction and facilitate flight. The Petrosauria, aka flying reptiles, developed this trait for what's most likely the same reason as other ancient archosaurs: to minimize weight and facilitate flight. Regarding the dinosaurs and other mostly non-volant archosaurs that possess this trait, pneumatization may have developed to lessen the energy required for these creatures to move around. After all, if you could evolve a more efficient way of walking if you weighed several tons, as is the case of a basic sauropod, then this makes a lot of evolutionary sense. Which dinosaur would you most like to see in real life? Do you think that one day Jurassic Park—
None. I love observing them here on the internet. I don't want to see none of them in real life. That's what made me nervous about seeing those eggs, because we all know what they're gonna possibly do with those eggs. So prepare yourself. We may very well soon have our own Jurassic Park. Y'all get at me in the comment section. Let me know what you think, and stick around and stay tuned. Next one, I'm gone. Peace.